working with the IDT department for some certifications over there. This is my oral presentation. Like a true nerd, I decided to do my presentation on whether gaming is ever relevant on the resume. Yes, the short, fat guy decided to go with gaming, so you just get that off your heads right now. So, the reason I had this idea is last year there was a wonderful article that came out about a guy who had put gaming on his resume, and it actually landed him the job with a company. I unfortunately couldn't find this article. It was kind of big at the time. Two of the podcasts I listened to, The Instance and Convert to Raid, both discussed it a bit. And it just grabbed my attention, and because, once again, I'm a nerd, I'm looking at IT things, this is the kind of thing that made me go, I'm interested in this. But let's look at what other side activities are relevant before we go into gaming. I work for a fast food company. I've been a manager there for 15 years. So things we look at on resumes are often babysitting, Eagle Scout, whether people are mowing lawns, volunteering or being part of a sports organization, community involvement, or other volunteer work. Because these all show dependability, responsibility, and motivation. This is things we want in people we hire. What can you get out of gaming? Well, I've been a raid leader in World of Warcraft for 5 years. Things I deal with. Team organization. I have to know exactly who's going to a raid at any given time. I need to know how to balance them. Recruiting. You always have to be bringing new blood for the old blood that's working their way out. Communication. If I cannot communicate with my team on strategies and what they're doing effectively, we don't down bosses, and then there's a lot of crying. So, discipline. Part of the discipline is I have to study, and it goes into the research and strategy. I have to study, I have to know the fights, I have to know what we're doing, need to know how it's going to affect my team and my makeup. Working environment. Like any other situation with 10 to 25 people, if attitudes aren't where they need to be, if people aren't pulling their weight, I need to address it. And sometimes I even have to discipline, enforce standards, and I've had to ask a couple people to leave. So my first idea was I emailed 20 companies. I try to weight it towards my advantage and do 10 video game companies, but I just said, hey, I want to know if you would consider this on a resume, gave some pointers on what some of the things people might use and say skill sets that are transferable are. And I sent that out. Unfortunately, out of over 20 people, I had 3 responses. First one was the only video game company that responded was Animal Jam. I love them, they're awesome people. But they just basically said internal matters, they don't want to discuss it. I can respect that. Second one, Starbucks. They basically said the store manager of whatever store you applied for, they'd leave it up to them to determine whether or not it's relevant, which is a fair answer. Chipotle. I love the fact that they said they don't use it right now, but it's a bold new world and we're always interested in innovating the way we do things. That means not right now, but we wouldn't necessarily not consider it in the future. And since gaming is gaining more relevance, that makes me happy. So I went back to my internet search and I found a couple articles. First one was from the Wall Street Journal. And it mentioned Heather Newman, who included her World of Warcraft experience. Yes, I'm a Blizzard fanboy, so if it says Warcraft, I'm pretty much there. Helped her land a job with the University of Michigan School of Information. She, in the leisure volunteer activities section of her resume, Ms. Newman noted that she has managed fields with as many as 500 people and organized scales of 25 to 40 players to complete tasks for several hours for 4 to 5 days a week. And that directly applied to the job she was looking at. It also mentioned in that article, John Reed said he has seen resumes that mention job skills, but added that his clients have not sought hires with game experience. Nevertheless, he said video game experience could be a conversation starter in an interview, But he cautioned gamers to broach the topic very subtly because you don't want to give the impression that you're going to be at your desk playing video games all day. Forbes actually had one as well. The should video games be on your resume? And I mean, no conclusive answer given. That's basically what I expected. They actually had referenced the Newman case again earlier in this article, but I didn't feel like listening it twice. But it's a pretty big gamble that HR hiring personnel are going to be gamers themselves in respect that you've invested in a virtual world. At the end of the day, it's all make-believe, said one gaming hire manager from the article. So that's kind of a negative for it. And then they went on to say, so it's an interesting question for the digital era. If you're reading this and applying for a job within the gaming industry, either in development or the game process, I absolutely include all the gaming experience you can. Heck, gaming should probably be at least half of your resume if that's what you're trying to work. So, when you look at it, when should you use gaming experience? Obviously, if it's relevant to the job, so if you're applying to a position at a video game company and they want to know you've got experience. If it's relevant, you have experience in multiple forms of media, so if you are writing articles on games and movies and that. Oh, IT jobs where you might handle people's video game issues, and if you're selling games at a video store with my other two, I'm sorry I clicked early. When is it not relevant? Any job that has no video game relevance, clothing stores, grocery bank, I would not list it. Makes no sense to list it. If it doesn't add anything to your skill set or echoes your skill set. So I've been a manager for 15 years at Chick-fil-A. I've got 3 more years of experience before that at Lagoon. I've done hiring, I've done recruiting. I absolutely would not put gaming on a resume if it's going to just reinforce skills that I already have several years in. Because then I'm rolling the dice and taking a risk on something that might make people just not take me seriously. But anywhere else you think they might not take it seriously, even if it's a video game company, you can research and see if people have applied like that. If you think it might not be taken seriously, take the safe road. Don't include it. If you include it, put it in your hobbies, and if it becomes a conversation starter, that's great. But always take the safe road. So the conclusion is essentially, yes, it can be relevant, but you need to be very careful when you add it to your resume. Consider everything, research the companies you're going to, and kind of balance it out. So, any questions?
Okay, good job.